Hello, everyone, and welcome to VoidLine. Have you ever had questions that you didn't really want to ask other people and potentially get embarrassed, ridiculed, but you did want to put that out there universally to somewhat or to someone or something to get some sort of answer without, embarrassment, anyone targeting you? Well, this is the place for you. It's a hotline that's available 24/7. When you have any questions, something weird happens. Let's just say you're walking down the liquor store at 3 o'clock and you see some weird shit. Maybe you don't want to tell the cops. You don't want to be a narc. You can tell VoidLine, and we will narc for you. Or we're just here to listen. So the reason I like it open-ended is because I really want to see how creative people are. I don't mind throwing prompts out. If you check the Instagram, Facebook, even the subreddit, we are putting out prompts because sometimes we need a little push, and it could be intimidating, especially for most people assuming that this is a scam. And it's like, why is this a number? I purposely got a number that had void in the last 4 numbers, and maybe I should advertise that. I don't know anyone that has a number pad on their phone anymore, so the whole letter number thing is kind of old school. I thought it would be lost in the ether, but maybe I'm wrong. I could throw that out there. I think that might be a good idea. Keep things simple. But yeah, I wanted to welcome everyone to VoidLine. I want this to be an open forum for people to just reflect on things, their regrets, the weird situations, their existential crisis that they go through every day that maybe they don't want to put a name on, but they want to vent it out. Because here's the other thing, guys. It's therapy nonetheless, right? We can laugh about it. We can really build upon it. But at the end of the day, there's people out there that are going to relate to your shit. And I think that's important. I think we need to relate to each other more. We're so worried about labels with all the shit that's going on in the world that we don't really think about human beings. We just think about what team you're on, what blue, red, all this bullshit. We don't need it. No one's set tripping in here, or everyone's set tripping in here. We'll figure it out. Another thing I wanted to make very clear, all submissions are completely confidential unless otherwise given up by the person putting the submission in. For example, if you send me a submission with no name on it, I'm obviously not going to know who it is, but I'm not going to share any kind of personal information besides what's disclosed within the voicemail. So that's a disclaimer. Whatever you put on the voicemail is free use for me to talk about, share, and use. That being said, I know there's some attention whores out there that would love to put their name on it. So by all means, I'm in that category myself. I love attention, so there you go. Probably why I'm doing this. But yeah, so if you want, hey, this is Jim calling from Ohio. Go ahead. It doesn't have to be real because at the end of the day, it's anonymous. So credibility is going to be up in question, but that's up to me. That's me to go through it, sift through it all, and decipher it. And that's really what I'm excited to do. So we all know why we're here. Let's just get started. There's no reason to beat around the bush. Let's get our first one out of the way here. All right. And we are ready to go. Let's see. We got our first call here. First call of VoidLine. Let's go.
I like men. If you're on the wall, you go back to the wall.
Well, that was very hard to hear, but thanks to my transcription software that I'm using here, I like math. Could be I like meth. Now, let's go with the meth thing. I've never tried it personally. I don't know if I've ever really wanted to. From the research I've done on YouTube wormholes and stuff like that, I've come to the realization that similar to heroin, you get that first high that is just amazing, godlike, heaven-like, right? Supposedly, there's nothing better. And then every time after that, you're just trying to keep up. You're just trying to level out. You're just trying to feel normal. So, yeah, that's not a selling point for me. Because you can't just do it once either. I don't know anyone who's just tried meth. Yeah, I dabbled in it. I hit it. We just played a casual 9 holes today, so I only did a bump and a half. I didn't want to go for the full-on bowl of crystal meth today. Is that even what kids are calling it anymore? Is it crystal meth? Is meth even a thing anymore? Now that we have fentanyl, do we care? I know they're not the same. Fentanyl is a downer. Meth is obviously an upper, mixed with some cleaning products. And is that why people clean a lot when they're on meth? Is it some kind of genetic thing where the fabuloso gets into your blood and just starts coagulating and controlling you? Clean. You're never clean enough. Clean. All right. And then, okay, so maybe it's not meth and maybe it's I like math. There's so many things I want to say, but I want to be fair, okay? Now, the first thing that came to my mind was something negative because one, even though I'm good at mental math, I wouldn't consider myself a math whiz. Always stay hydrated, everybody. I wouldn't consider myself a math whiz. Now, I've learned I'm better at math than I used to think since I've been helping out my kids with their homework. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I like math in a traditional sense where I can actually figure shit out that's helpful to me, Like, I guess geometry would be a good one. But it's not like I'm going out and plotting out, oh, okay, you will if you're like designing something or like architecture, you need geometry, right? But most good math could be done with finances, figuring out tips at a restaurant. You don't want to whip your phone out. Nowadays, though, you don't even need to know math. You got AI and maybe that's why the schools, to go off on a little tangent, like I said, I was helping my son with his math homework. I think that's why the schools do this weird, maybe that's why they do a non-traditional sense of teaching. In a nutshell, what I'm talking about is my son is in school and he's doing basic math. He's younger. But I'm helping him with this stuff, and I'm kind of confused because it's addition, right? You line it up, you add the numbers. Same with subtraction. But now in school, I think they're trying to teach the kids mental math first to go with, the fundamentals, which it was never really explained that way. But if that's the reasoning, I appreciate that because I kind of figured out my mental math on my own. And I think that's kind of up to the kid too. Like, it's nice to have a seed planted, but at the end of the day, that mental math just needs to make sense to you and you only, and just be as quick and efficient as possible. It doesn't matter how you categorize it or memorize things. And like the VoidLine, maybe you don't want to disclose your math methods. Maybe you use fruits or things like that to I don't know. But at the end of the day, math is math, right? It's an absolute. It's a constant thing where, okay, it's not really going to change. Maybe the methods of how we get the answer might change, but math is math, right? So when I'm doing the addition and subtraction, I'm looking through the examples of how they're doing it. I'm like, he's like, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, shit, neither do I. And I'm going through it. I'm reading it. I'm like, eventually I'll figure it out. And that's what, I don't know if homework was like that when we were growing up. I don't remember. I remember it not being easy. I remember being easier with my mom versus my dad, and that's what I try and remember. It's like, I need to be good at explaining things, because when you get to a point where you're not connecting with your pupil or your student, then they're not going to listen to you or understand a word you're fucking saying, and they're just thinking about, hey, when the hell am I getting out of here? Been there. So you want to be relatable. You want to keep it fun. I don't know how fun you could keep math, but I laughed because I learned their fucking kooky ways for the last 2 months how to do math. And then he came home the other day and it was like, yeah, just do it in a line. Just add it up. I'm like, so is this a power move, or were you actually trying to help the kids? Because now they're learning the regular way where you could have just told them that originally. I don't know. Schools are a weird thing, and reliving school as an adult is a trip. And as a parent is a trip. You still view the principals the same way. You're like, oh, narc, you don't talk to them. But some principals are really friendly, you know. So, give them a chance. But it's just, school's funny, man. It's been like 20 years plus since I've been to high school, you know. And even just going back to my kid's school, I'm like, I still feel like, I'm like, am I being watched? Am I going to get in trouble? I don't know. I like school. I've always had fun in it, but I've always been like, I've always tried to behave, even though junior, senior year of high school, I could care less about behaving. I just want to have a good time. All right, so I like math. Did not give a name and was quite loud in the background. So moving right along here. Hopefully we can hear this one better than the last one. Because, man, these people are calling from a tunnel or maybe a construction site. Who knows? Who knows? Let's see what we got here. Next caller.
Hello? Yeah, I have a problem. My ass cheeks are stuck together, and I don't know how to unglue them. Help me, please.
Well, I want to help you, man. And I don't know whether you're giggling at the end because you figured it out or the fun time's about to happen, but this caller sounds like he might be familiar. I don't know. I got a tone off of this that sounds a little familiar. Like I said, we're remaining completely anonymous, so even if I have an inkling of who it is, I will not share that. But this caller, in fact, let's just play it back one more time.
Hello? Yeah, I have a problem. My ass cheeks are stuck together, and I don't know how to unglue them.
So his ass cheeks are stuck together, and he does not know how to unglue them. Well, that's why I'm here, dude. Let's help you out. So this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be helping people out. No matter what the circumstances are. Okay, so I cannot tell you. Let's see how. Okay, well, I was going to try and do like an online search. I'm just going to give you my feedback, which is what I should have done anyway. All right, dude, so this is what's going down. I don't know what kind of glue you were talking about here. It would have been probably a little more prudent information for you to disclose whether this is like some sort of like Mod Podge, maybe like a super glue. We might be even dealing with Gorilla Glue. I'm not sure. I don't know to the extent of this person's issue/kink. So, with that being said, I would recommend using a nice maybe vegetable oil mixed with maybe a little Dawn soap. But realistically, what you want to do, and I learned this when I did pest control, is the oil breaks down the glue. I don't know the fucking chemistry behind that. Like I said, I'm a fucking normal person. I don't know this shit, but I know why. I know how it works. I don't know why. So when I used to work pest control, we had glue traps, and it was a common issue that the dogs, pets, would get their fur stuck to the glue trap, and everyone freaks out. I've had my other dog, he got his shit stuck to a glue trap, and we kind of panicked. My wife was like, looking things up. There's all these remedies. Well, she ended up figuring it out. It took her a while, but if you take some vegetable oil or a nice thick oil and you just get it on your hands or a glove, probably a glove. Well, yeah, probably a glove because you don't want to get your hands stuck. But if you oil up your hands, they're not going to get stuck to the glue. But anyway, what you do is you work the oil into the area. You know what I'm saying? So working the oil into the area, your butt, You're gonna start oiling your butt up, dude. Take the oil that butt. All right, nice and shiny. Okay, get it all in there. Crevasses. I'm assuming there's some hair. Sounded like a man. So good luck with that part, because that's when you really want the oil to unmat from the hair, because ripping the gooch hair, that's a problem. You're not going to class that day. You're calling in from work, maybe. You're not wearing shorts, probably not anything white. But you're gonna nurse yourself back to health after that one. So my advice to the caller: get some oil. Vegetable oil is cheap. You know, go into town. Also, I don't understand. So, were you gluing the cheek shut, or were you just, there's some on the outside cheek? Because this is all very confusing, and I think a little more information. So, moving forward, guys, if you could leave a voicemail with just, you don't need to put your name, but just maybe put the intention, like, hey, I was really trying to spice things up in the bedroom, and I wanted to oil myself up, but unfortunately it wasn't oil. It was glue. There you go. Now I got a scenario. Now I understand the situation a little more. I know that there was good intentions behind the glue. But this caller just strikes me as a little, I feel like they do things with their butt. And look, we live in the 21st century. Things are more available to us than ever. It is perfectly okay to do things to your own butt. I mean, it is your body. You do with it what you like. I'm not going to sign up for it myself, but I'm not opposed to it. Do your thing. I don't get a lot of things in this world. That doesn't mean I'm against it. And I think that's a big part. That's a big stepping stone for us as a community. Like, we really need to analyze this. Like, someone likes math and the other person got their butt cheeks glued together. This is what I'm doing this for. I'm doing this for the people out there who like math and glue their butt cheeks together. And this is why I'm here. And sometimes I need to validate that. I need to go and say, look, why am I doing this? What is the why? What's your why? You guys need to go to Instagram. We are on Instagram at Call VoidLine. That's CAL VoidLine, all one word. We're also on Facebook under VoidLine. You can find us there on Facebook. You can call directly through Facebook. I don't know why Instagram makes you do a link tree. I don't know if anyone even likes doing that. The link tree set up in the Instagram, you click that. The first option is call 24/7. You hit that button. There's an option to save it in your contact list. So you don't constantly have to remember this digit, these 7 digits. Well, 10 if you count the area code. 10 digits. I mean, honestly, I barely memorized it. And I've been looking at it for 3 days nonstop. So I don't expect any listeners to memorize the number. That's why I'm here. I'll remind you, it's 408-634-8643. Once again, that's 408-634-8643. And if you're nasty, that's 408-634-VOID. Figure that one out. All right, well, today's Friday. And Friday for me is always been a positive. It's always been like, oh man, it's the end of the work week. It's the end of the week. The weekend's about to start. Even if you got plans, most people are off. That's when you go and do stuff. I also have plans today. I'm really excited. But I kind of wanted to look at the significance of Fridays in culture. Now, a lot of people associate Friday the 13th as a bad thing. I didn't realize Friday the 13th is almost pretty much coined from religion. I didn't realize it was both in Christianity and Norse religion. Apparently, Jesus was crucified on a Friday, right? And the Last Supper, where Judas, the guy who ratted him out to the Romans, was the 13th guest, which is kind of crazy. But maybe they just threw that together. And the day he betrayed Jesus was also on a Friday. Wow, damn. Back in the day, they were like, oh, you guys want to have a good time? You want to throw some frankincense around? No, not today, bitch. Wow. And then in Norse mythology, it contributes to the bad vibe because it is the 13th god, which is Loki, bringing chaos and death. So just keep in mind, to all my people out there that are very influential and just very freaked out easily, chaos and death happens every day. I'm just kidding. So don't think it's just Friday the 13th or Friday. The concept of Casual Friday has roots in Hawaiian culture and the Aloha Friday movement of the 1960s. We're going to go back to that. The Aloha Friday movement of the 1960s sounds very interesting to me. My Howley self, I've got a collection of some Hawaiian shirts. Big surprise, as most white people do. I'm not trying to appropriate the Hawaiian culture because that's already kind of been done. But, you know, I'm here to throw nods at culture. I love the Hawaiian culture. I got my Hawaiian shirt because I recently picked up golf and I want some goofy outfits. And every once in a while, it's nice to have a little button down. But I'm no way, shape, or form like a parrot head. I'm not Jimmy Buffett, you know? So there's that. Excuse me. And then, of course, if you're from the South, Friday night is football night because high school football in the South is insanely huge. In some areas, bigger than the college teams. And then you got states like Arkansas and Oklahoma that don't even have pro football teams, so their college teams are huge. But those aren't Friday; those are Saturdays, so irrelevant. Wow, interesting. Okay, well, apparently Black Friday. Yeah, Black Friday originally. Apparently the name originated from the Wall Street crash. The Black Friday crash of Wall Street, 1929. There you go. A little interesting stuff. Nothing crazy. Nothing great. I mean, the religion thing's pretty great, but I do think it's interesting that two different religions have similar, and I'm sure if I did a little more diving, I know within the Sikhs and the Muslim religion, Friday is a day of rest, worship, and reflection, which I think is good. I think a lot of Christians do that on Sunday. I say do it every day. You know, whatever culture or religion your Lord's Day is, take the day off, reflect, or whatever your personal Lord's Day or day is, take the day off, reflect, you know. And if you don't have a Lord, or if it's the Dark Lord or whoever you pledge allegiance to, take your day off and reflect. You need the time. Okay? Also, it's New Music Friday, guys. What's a good guilty confession of music? I'm trying to think nowadays, everyone's so open and it's so hip to be open to music. It's not really cool. So I don't know if I'm going to put new music, but it might be new music for others. A good guilty confession. Man, I don't even know if it's guilty enough, but I like me some Ace of Base. You know, I think they're Swedish. It's kind of in line with like, what's that music? It's kind of in line with like, what's the music that all the Latinos like? Play it at parties. It's like 80s, 90s. I feel so stupid. Anyway, it's in that realm of genre. It's like Ace of Base. Anyway, I that's kind of my thing. They're kind of weird. What's another good one? Ooh, you know, ABBA. That's not that out there either, though. But Dancing Queen came on the radio the other day. And, man, that is a jam. And I was, like, singing it. And the kids were in the back seat kind of looking at me like, what's he doing? What's going on right now? But then they kind of got the groove, you know. They kind of figured it out. They were like, all right. I think these Swedes knew what they were doing with the disco dancing and all this shit. They were doing a lot more than disco dancing at Studio 54. I'll tell you that. But yeah, why don't you call VoidLine today? That's 408-634-8643. call VoidLine. You got any questions? You got your embarrassing music. You've got that boss that you need to vent about. You don't even need to use his or her name. You can just say, hey, my name's John, or I'm calling. You don't even need to say who you are. But talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because you know what? People out there need to hear it, and we need to discuss it. Today we discussed a lot, and I'm glad we did. I'm glad we were able to connect with each other, and I think it's going to be more and more of this. I'm really looking forward to doing live shows and having because right now the number's set to voicemail. I'm getting things figured out. I'm dialing things in, coming up with some production stuff. I still got to get a theme song going, so we'll figure that out. But yeah, I want to go live. I really want to interact with the community more, and I want to hear everybody. I got a 408 number on here. The reason I put my international number, the +1, and the whole number is because I want to get everybody. I want people calling from, and if you don't want to use your carrier, go on WhatsApp, go on Telegram, let your partner know you're not cheating on them. You're just using this to save money, and then give it a call, man. Give it a call, because I have the international number on there, which anyone from any country can dial it in, and nationwide. I want to hear people in Saskatoon. I want to hear people in Detroit. I want to hear people in Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Savannah, Georgia. I want every little area of here. Austin, Texas, Houston, Texas, El Paso. Let's get it all, dude. And I know there's a lot of cities in Texas that I didn't name, but the fact that I knew at least 3, and I didn't say Dallas. I'm not bringing football into this, but there might be a reason I left them out. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, everybody, let's call in. Tell me anything. You got life advice? Give me some life advice. You figured something out. You learned something new. Teach everybody. Let's learn together. We're a community. I'm looking forward to hearing more from everybody. Don't forget, VoidLine is listening. That's 408-634-8643. And we're going to end today with a thought of the day. Yesterday's weirdness is tomorrow's reason why. That is Hunter S. Thompson, and have a great day, everyone. Call VoidLine 408-634-8643. Have a good one. Stay weird.